Welcome to the Manager Matt podcast show. The show is designed to give you solutions to your day-to-day management and leadership problems. It's hosted by Matthew Haddock, a frontline manager and leader with over 25 years of experience. If you're ready, then let's get on with the show.
Welcome to the Manager Matt podcast show, where I try to tackle real-life challenges, share some stories, and give you some proactive and practical tips to make your professional life so much easier. I do hope you've had a great week and you managed to deliver results. If you don't know already, my name is Matthew Haddock and I'm an experienced project manager, lean practitioner and general manager around different businesses for over 20 odd years, probably 26, 27 years now. What I want to talk around today, I have done a cast in the past, that sounds great, doesn't it? About performance improvement plans. But when I was doing it last time, it was about how you did it to other people, how you used the performance improvement plan to improve other people's performance. Now, over the last few weeks, I've been asked around the other side of it. You know, what happens when you get the call or it happens to you? You get this dreaded, oh my word, I've been put on a performance improvement plan or PIP. If you've ever been put on a PIP or you are currently going through this process, I know it can be tough. It's a really stressful time because obviously there's a lot of negative connotations attached to the fact of a PIP. And of course it drives uncertainty, especially if you feel that you've not had a fair crack of the whip. But let's really go down to what the detail of this should be. When you've been put on a PIP or you are in the process of going on a PIP, you shouldn't feel that it's a setback. You know, it's actually an opportunity for you to grow and come back stronger within your career. I know you don't feel that way. I know you feel that it's a tool to get you out of the business. And as I said in my first cast around PIPs, you can go back and have a listen. Some people do that. They use a PIP in a negative way and it's not the right way. It's not a professional way and it shouldn't be used in that way. So today we're going to dive deep into how we can not only survive a PIP, but use it as a stepping stone to really drive our career forward. But first, let's break down what PIPs really are. Well, in the short, the Performance Improvement Plan. And it's a formalised process that employers use with employees to get their performance to meet expectation. And it usually comes with specific goals, timelines for improvements, and obviously, in the really good PIPs, a chance for you to expand and grow. Unfortunately, on the reverse, if you don't meet your goals, then obviously there is a potential of a disciplinary process which could lead to termination. But here's where I want you to shift that mindset a bit. While you've been put on a PIP might feel like the worst thing in the world, especially if it's the first time you've been through this, it's important to recognise that it's not necessarily the end of the road for you. In fact, it shouldn't be. It should be a chance for you to turn that PIP on its head, learn from it, and really get your career going in the right way. And the way you approach it is the key to how that can happen. If you approach it with a negative mindset, that it's over, it's done, you've almost given up before you even started the process. So what do you do when you've first been given the news of the PIP? And how do you keep from going down the rabbit hole of panic setting in? Now, it shouldn't be a surprise. There is some stealth PIPs. I was speaking to some people the other day when PIPs had come out of the blue. They didn't expect it. Now, that could be that the person didn't see the signs, didn't get the hints, but I really think it's poor management. If you have not had good one-to-ones, given feedback, done some mid-course correction, and you get to the point where you just invite people for PIPs, then that's a wrong way of doing it. There should be some indication that this is not going well. And if you've misread the room, then, well, fair enough. But the first thing you do when you get to the point of having a PIP being done with you and with the employer, your manager, of course, is to stay calm. Now, I know that's easy for me to say, right? Yeah. But trust me, if you panic, it won't help. Your situation will not get any better by panicking. And of course, that's the same in all life. you should keep calm, take a deep breath, and give yourself some space to process the news. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. Because they should be inviting you to a PIP meeting, then you should have time. But if it's not right, you can obviously say, I need a moment, I need to take some time. And there's nothing wrong with that. Of course, you can't drag that out forever. If you say you're going to take far too much time, then it sounds like you're stalling. But once you've taken that step back, the next step is for you to need to clarify what's happening. So you're calm, you know what's going on, you've taken your time, but you need to understand the goals and expectations that should be clearly written out. Never leave a PIP meeting with the ambiguity of not understanding what is expected for you. If your manager has given you some specific goals and outcomes, you need a chance to talk them through and make sure you're crystal clear on what you're meant to do. And if anything, if there's vagueness and confusion, ask more questions. Ask for examples. Be more specific. Say to the person, I understand what you're saying. I'd just like to get a bit more clarity. Could you just explain exactly what you mean by this goal, what you are looking for in the next step? And ask for specific guidance. There's nothing wrong with that. Remember, it's a chance for you and your manager to get the plan for you to get better. You want to improve, and your manager wants you to improve, and that means you deliver the results that you both need. So it's a win-win in some regards. One thing to remember is that PIP isn't just about the company giving you feedback. It's about you taking responsibility for your own growth as well. So you create your plan. You break it down into goals, into smaller, actionable steps that you can take over the set time period, and that will help you stay organised and well committed to the process of the PIP. Let's talk about this idea of keeping your head in the game as well. It can feel overwhelming. As I said earlier, you should always think about taking the time, stepping back. And it is difficult. You can go through cycles, a bit like the grief cycle, where you go back in and out and become overwhelmed. You think it's over. But the way of your mindset is really important during this time. If you know that you are going to be able to be successful, you're going to focus on your PIP, you're going to get better, then that helps you. And of course, that means that you will then embrace that process and use the PIP as personal development. And you shouldn't see it as failure. Please don't see it as failure. In fact, if the good manager's invested the time with you to want you to be a good, successful PIP, then that means they want to keep you. They want you to be successful unless there is an alternative motive behind it, which I hope there isn't, and you're being professionally managed. Because remember, they've spent a lot of time bringing you into the business, potentially training you. They don't want to lose you, to try and start over again. And you don't understand how much time goes in to organising a good PIP. So let's have a look. Where are we? So a good point to think about is when you're in a PIP, it can be quite isolative. You feel like you're on your own. But let's not go down that route straight away. You need to be making sure you're proactively communicating. So what you would normally do is you'd be invited to a PIP meeting. And in that PIP meeting, you'd be able to lay down a couple of points. So your PIP, as I said, does feel daunting, but it's an opportunity for you to demonstrate that commitment, as I said. And what the big thing you want to do is understand the expectations. So we're going to clarify the objectives with the manager and fully understand the goals that you're expected, the metrics, the time, and you're expecting it to be very much around that SMART. So it should be your very SMART goals. So you're looking at how you can be specific, how you can measure them, can they be attainable, are they realistic, and what's the time. You need to document everything. Keep records of all the feedback, the meeting, the progress towards your goal. Show you're working out. Don't just show the answer, but show the way you've worked it out. Use a spreadsheet, use a Word document, whatever you're good at doing to say what the specific goal was, what was it meant to do, how have you showed the evidence. Feel like you're in an audit. Audits only happen when you share and know exactly how you have given them the evidence. So you're going to do that. Stay positive and open to the feedback. So when you're in a PIP meeting, be open-minded. It might feel critical, but it's important that you take that feedback on board and grow. Ask for regular check-ins. So when you do a PIP meeting, that's the first part of it, but ask for a regular meeting, maybe fortnightly, maybe monthly, depending on the length and the goals that have been set for you. Focus on that improvement. Prioritise the areas where you think you can make the biggest ones, give your energy into that, and making sure that if you have got some weaknesses, you take steps to strengthen it. Small steps forward, measurable goals, and track your progress. Ask for seek and ask for help. Ask for training if you haven't got it. If some of the gaps that you've been shown are really outside your remit and you need some training, then there's nothing wrong with asking the company to train you. Remember, of course, if this is something that should be core to your job, asking for training now might seem a bit late, because if you've been employed and you've been doing the role, then there's training that might not suit. But if it's new stuff that they're expecting you to do, then obviously ask for the training. Making sure when you do the sessions and you've got these feedback ones, that you are communicating proactively with the regular updates with your manager and showing them. And obviously be transparent. If you are struggling in certain areas, communicate honestly that you are struggling. There's no point in hiding it. Now, again, hopefully, as we said, this is a process that wants to improve. So if the person then takes that against you, then that's not playing cricket. And there's an English sort of thing for you, but it's not being fair. So if you've been transparent and open, they should be open about the fact that you might need more help and guidance in that way. Obviously, using a PIP as a learning experience does make it sound like it's a positive, but sometimes that is a good way to do it, because if you've identified your weakness in the PIP, you can then look how you can build that back up with the awareness of yourself and develop new skills and strategies to, in the long term, add value to the company and reflects where you want to go in your career. And of course, there might be a point when you start going down the PIP that you believe that really this wasn't the role for you, or it is time for a change. And there's nothing wrong with using the PIP to gauge where you really want to be within the business, because if you go through a PIP process and you spend time with your manager and you realise that actually you don't fit, there's nothing wrong with that. But stay professional all the time within the PIP. It can be passionate, as we said earlier, but maintaining that professionalism, even when you feel frustrated and overwhelmed, will add to the relationship, because you and your manager, you're on a professional level. And it can be hard not to burn your bridges and really lose it. And I think that is one of the hardest things when you are in a PIP and you feel it's not fair and you feel that it's been done to you, that you then lose your mind in a bit of a way, and you lose your temper and your temperature goes up as well. But really try to stay professional. And of course, seek for outside help. If you really are in the middle of a PIP, talk to a trusted friend or a mentor or someone you worked with before who may be outside the business, who can offer a different perspective, maybe some emotional support as well. You know, if it's been a tough day, a shoulder to cry on, there's nothing wrong with that. Professional counselling, there's lots of people out there who will offer you coaching and counselling on how to get through PIPs and how you can get to the end of a PIP. Because at the end, you want to come out with the outcome you want. So let's just recap. Remember, when you're in a PIP, to get some understanding of the expectations, stay positive and open to the feedback, show your progress, focus on the improvements, communicate proactively, make sure you're demonstrating the commitment to your process as well, and make sure that you're using the PIP as a learning experience. Stay professional, and if you're getting stuck or you need it, seek outside help. Remember that the PIP is a very daunting thing, and if it's happening to you now, just remember to keep that clear mindset. Make sure the goals are clear. Be consistent and constant in your effort to close the gaps. And of course, make sure that you don't lose your mind to the process and become downbeat about it. PIPs should be used to help you improve. They should be used to give you a chance to get better at what you do. So if they're doing that and you're taking the feedback on board, there's nothing going to stop you being a better person, a better employer, and even a better deliverer of results at the end. Well, one of the results I always want is some feedback from you. So please, if you can and you're willing, send us your feedback to managermattpodcast@gmail.com. I'd love to engage on old and new topics. The PIP is a prime example of an old topic that people have asked me about. So please keep feeding them in. And of course, rate the show. If you're listening now and you're a first-time listener, second-time listener, or been listening for years, please rate it wherever you see it. Please share it as well, because there's loads of people out there who could really benefit from listening to how to do some of this stuff, improve their leadership, and maybe become better managers themselves. Well, that's it for Manager Matt this week. Thank you so much for listening, and goodbye.
Thank you so much for listening to this Manager Matt podcast. We hope you found it interesting, helpful and actionable. One last thing, please leave a quick review on iTunes or with your podcast provider, as it helps to spread the word of Manager Matt. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the podcast, and if you did like anything in particular, send an email to managermattpodcast@gmail.com or visit managermatt.co.uk for more content. Feedback is a gift, so let's keep giving. See you next week.